The stars outside the window looked cold and distant. Jinwoo stood perfectly still in the hallway, his back straight and his eyes watching everything. He was a guard, and he was good at his job. The ship around him was called Harmony's Dawn, and it carried very important people to a very important meeting. Jinwoo was human. In a galaxy full of strange and powerful aliens, humans were nothing special. They were small. They were weak. They lived short lives and died easily. Most aliens looked at humans the way humans looked at insects back on Earth. But Jinwoo did not care what others thought. He had a job to do. Behind the door he guarded was Princess Nara of the Valari Kingdom. She was young and kind, with skin that glowed soft blue and large eyes that could see emotions like colors. Her people were gentle and peaceful. They had been at war with the Korath Empire for 50 years, and they were losing. The Korath were everything the Valari were not. They were tall and covered in hard black shells like armor. They had claws and teeth and compound eyes that never blinked. They lived to conquer. They lived to fight. Their queen had destroyed more worlds than Jinwoo could count. Today, the two sides would try to make peace. Jinwoo did not believe it would work. But he was not paid to believe. He was paid to protect. The door behind him opened. Princess Nara stepped out, her long silver dress flowing like water. She looked at Jinwoo with worried eyes. "Are you scared?" she asked him. Jinwoo shook his head slowly. "No, Princess." "I am," she said quietly. "Queen Velith is coming. I have heard stories about her since I was a child. She eats her enemies alive. She has lived for 1,000 years. She has never lost a battle." Jinwoo turned to face her. His face was calm, like a lake without wind. "Nothing will touch you while I breathe," he said. "I promise you this." Nara smiled, but her smile was sad. "You are just one human, Jinwoo. What can you do against a queen who has conquered half the galaxy?" Jinwoo did not answer. He did not need to. His answer was, in the way he stood, in the way his hand rested near his weapon, in the way his eyes never stopped watching. An hour later, the great hall of the ship was full of people. Valari diplomats in their beautiful clothes stood on one side. Coalition officers from many different species stood in the middle, and on the other side, the Korath delegation waited in silence. Jinwoo stood behind Princess Nara, his eyes moving from face to face. There were only 3 humans on the entire ship. Humans were rare in this part of space. Most species did not think they were worth much. Then the main doors opened, and Queen Velith entered. She was massive, nearly 3 meters tall. Her body was covered in black and red armor that was part of her own skin. Her head was shaped like a nightmare, with mandibles that could crush metal and eyes that reflected no light. She moved like a predator, smooth and deadly. Behind her walked 20 of her best warriors, each one a killer trained from birth. The room became very quiet. Jinwoo could hear his own heartbeat. Queen Velith walked slowly through the hall. Her eyes scanned every person, measuring them, judging them. Most people looked away when her gaze found them. They could not help it. Fear was a natural response to something so powerful. Then her eyes found Jinwoo. He did not look away. For a long moment, the ancient queen and the young human stared at each other. Jinwoo felt something cold wash over him, like standing in a freezing river. But he did not move. He did not blink. He held her gaze like it was a battle. Something flickered in Velith's compound eyes. Interest, maybe. Or surprise. Then she continued walking. She stopped in front of Princess Nara, towering over the small Valari girl like a mountain over a flower. "So," Velith said, her voice like stones grinding together, "this is the princess, the hope of the Valari people." She made a sound that might have been laughter. "You are so small, so fragile. In my empire, the weak are eaten by the strong. It is the natural way." Nara's hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "We believe in a different way, Queen Velith. We believe the strong should protect the weak." "Foolish," Velith replied. "Weakness should be removed from the galaxy like a disease. Jinwoo stepped forward. Just one small step. But it put him between the queen and the princess. Velith's head turned toward him. Her mandibles clicked together loudly. What is this? A human? She leaned closer, studying him like he was a strange insect. I have seen your kind before. You die so easily. Why do you stand between me and the princess? Because it is my job, Jinwoo said simply. Velith stared at him for a long time. Then she pulled back and walked toward her seat at the negotiation table. Interesting, she said, so quietly that only Jinwoo could hear. The negotiations began. Diplomats talked about borders and trade and prisoners of war. Jinwoo did not listen to their words. He watched the Korath soldiers instead. Something was wrong. They were not standing like soldiers at a peace meeting. They were standing like soldiers preparing for battle. Their positions covered every exit. Their hands were too close to their weapons. Jinwoo's heart began to beat faster. He looked at his commanding officer, Tae-sung, across the room. The older man had noticed too. His face was tense. An hour passed. 2 hours. The talking continued. Jinwoo's bad feeling grew stronger and stronger. Then the lights went out. The explosion came a second later, shaking the entire ship. People screamed. Jinwoo grabbed Princess Nara and pulled her to the ground, covering her body with his own. In the darkness, he heard Queen Velith's voice, cold and calm. Take the princess, she said. Kill everyone else. The Korath had never wanted peace. This was a trap from the beginning. Jinwoo pulled Princess Nara to her feet. Red emergency lights flickered on, turning the hall into a scene from a nightmare. Korath soldiers were attacking, their claws slicing through Valari diplomats like paper. Stay close to me, Jinwoo told Nara. Do not let go of my hand. He pulled out his weapon and started moving toward the nearest exit. Behind them, people were dying. In front of them, Korath warriors waited with blood on their claws. Jinwoo was just one human, small, weak, fragile. But Princess Nara was behind him. And he had made a promise. He would keep it, or he would die trying. Jinwoo ran through the burning ship with Princess Nara's hand tight in his grip. The red emergency lights made everything look like it was covered in blood. Maybe some of it was real blood. He tried not to think about it. Behind them, screams filled the air. The Korath soldiers were fast and brutal. They showed no mercy. This was not a battle. This was a slaughter. This way, Jinwoo said, pulling Nara down a side corridor. He knew the ship's layout from memory. Every guard was required to know every path, every room, every escape route. Now that knowledge would save their lives. A Korath warrior stepped out of the smoke ahead of them. It was huge, its black armor gleaming in the emergency lights. It saw them and made a clicking sound of pleasure. Easy prey. Jinwoo did not slow down. He raised his weapon and fired 3 times. The first shot hit the warrior's shoulder. The second hit its chest. The third hit its throat. The creature fell backward, still making that clicking sound. But now, it was a sound of surprise. Nara stared at the fallen warrior with wide eyes. How did you do that? They are supposed to be impossible to kill. Nothing is impossible, Jinwoo replied. He grabbed her hand again and kept moving. They are fast and strong, but they have weak points. The throat, the joints, the eyes. You just have to be faster. They reached a junction where 3 corridors met. Jinwoo stopped and listened. He could hear fighting to the left and the right. Straight ahead was quiet. Too quiet. His communicator crackled. Tae-sung's voice came through, broken by static. Jinwoo, can you hear me? The ship is lost. Most of our people are dead. There is 1 shuttle left in Hangar 7. You need to get there now. I am on my way, Jinwoo replied. I have the princess with me. Good. Hurry. The Korath are everywhere. The line went dead. Jinwoo looked at Nara. Her face was pale and her body was trembling. But she was not crying. She was stronger than she looked. Hangar 7 is 3 levels down, Jinwoo said. We need to move fast. They ran. The ship groaned around them like a dying animal. Fires burned in some sections. Bodies lay in others. Jinwoo tried to shield Nara from the worst sights. But there was only so much he could do. They encountered more Korath warriors on the way. Jinwoo killed 2 more and injured 3 others. Each fight cost him time and energy. A blade cut his shoulder, and warm blood ran down his arm. He ignored the pain and kept fighting. Nara watched him with something like wonder. She had never seen a human fight before. In fact, most people in the galaxy thought humans could not fight at all. They were supposed to be weak, helpless creatures that survived only because stronger species allowed them to live. Jinwoo was proving all of that wrong. They finally reached Hangar 7. The large space was filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. Most of the ships inside had been destroyed by explosions, but in the far corner, one small shuttle remained intact. And standing in front of the shuttle was a woman with blood on her face. "Hana," Jinwoo called out. The woman turned. She was human too, with short black hair and tired eyes. She was a medic, and she was also Jinwoo's oldest friend. They had grown up together on the same destroyed colony, rescued by the same Valari ship, raised in the same alien world. "Jinwoo." Hana limped toward them. One of her legs was injured, but she was still moving. "You made it. I have been trying to get the shuttle ready. We can leave in 2 minutes." "Good," Jinwoo said. He pushed Nara toward Hana. "Get the princess on board. I will watch the door." But before Hana could take Nara's hand, the main doors of the hangar exploded inward. Queen Velith walked through the smoke like a demon from an old story. Behind her came her personal guards, the best warriors in her entire empire. Each one had killed hundreds of enemies. Together, they had never been defeated. Velith's compound eyes found Princess Nara immediately. "There you are, little flower," she said. Her voice was almost gentle, which made it more frightening. "I have been looking for you. You are going to help me end this war. When your people see that I have their princess, they will surrender. And then, I will eat them all." Jinwoo stepped forward, putting himself between Velith and the others. His weapon was almost empty. His shoulder was bleeding badly. He had no chance against the queen and her guards. He did not care. "Run," he said to Hana, without turning around. "Get her on the shuttle. Go now." Jinwoo. "No," Nara said. Her voice was breaking. "You cannot fight her alone. You will die." "Maybe," Jinwoo replied. "But you will live. That is what matters." He looked at Velith. The ancient queen was watching him with those strange, unblinking eyes. She seemed curious, like a scientist studying an interesting experiment. "You are going to fight me?" Velith asked. "One small human against the queen of the Korath Empire? This is foolishness." "Probably," Jinwoo agreed. "But I made a promise." He charged. The Korath guards laughed. They had killed thousands of warriors from dozens of species. This human was nothing. He would die in seconds. Jinwoo moved faster than they expected. His first shot took out the knee of the nearest guard. The warrior fell, and Jinwoo used its body as a shield as he kept moving. He ducked under a claw strike, rolled past another guard, and came up firing. Another guard fell with a hole in its throat. The laughter stopped. The remaining guards attacked together. But Jinwoo was already moving. He was smaller than them, which meant he could go places they could not. He was faster than them, because humans had evolved to run and hunt for millions of years. He was smarter than them, because he had spent his entire life studying how to fight creatures bigger and stronger than himself. He killed a third guard before a blade finally caught him in the side. The pain was incredible. Jinwoo fell to his knees, blood pouring from the wound. A guard kicked him onto his back and raised its claw for the killing blow. "Stop," Velith commanded. The guard froze. Velith walked forward and looked down at Jinwoo. Her massive head tilted to one side. "You wounded 3 of my royal guards," she said. "No one has done that in 50 years. You are dying, and you still fought." Why? Jinwoo coughed blood. Behind Velith, he could see Hana dragging Nara toward the shuttle. They were almost there. He smiled. Because she is already gone, he said. Velith turned. The shuttle's engines were firing. The small ship rose from the ground, turned toward the hangar doors, and blasted into space. Princess Nara was safe. Jinwoo let his head fall back onto the cold metal floor. He had kept his promise. Whatever happened next did not matter. Velith looked at the disappearing shuttle, then back at Jinwoo. Her mandibles clicked together slowly. You sacrificed yourself, she said. You knew you would die, and you did it anyway, for that weak little girl. She is not weak, Jinwoo whispered, and neither am I. Velith was silent for a long moment. Then she made a decision. Do not kill him, she ordered her guards. Treat his wounds. He is coming with us. One of the guards made a confused sound. My queen? He killed our brothers. He should die screaming. No, Velith said. She was still looking at Jinwoo with those curious eyes. This human is special. I want to understand why. She knelt down next to Jinwoo, her massive face close to his. You belong to me now, little human, and I will learn all of your secrets. Jinwoo's vision was going dark. The last thing he saw was Queen Velith's eyes, reflecting him like black mirrors. Then everything went black. Jinwoo woke up in a room made of black stone. The ceiling was high above him, carved with strange symbols that hurt his eyes to look at. The air smelled like metal and something else, something old and dangerous. He tried to move, but chains held his arms and legs. They were made of some kind of heavy material that hummed with energy. He was not going anywhere. His wounds had been treated. Someone had cleaned and bandaged the cut on his shoulder and the deep wound in his side. The work was careful, professional. Whoever did it wanted him alive. Jinwoo looked around the room. It was large and empty except for a single chair carved from the same black stone as the walls. The chair was big enough for a giant, or a queen. He did not have to wait long. A door opened somewhere behind him, and he heard the click of clawed feet on stone. Queen Velith walked into his view and sat down in the chair. She moved slowly, like she had all the time in the world. For someone who had lived 1,000 years, maybe she did. You are awake, she said. Good. I was worried the doctors had given you too much medicine. Jinwoo said nothing. He stared at her with cold eyes. Velith seemed amused by his silence. You are on Vex Prime, the home world of my empire. You are in my palace, in a room that I use for special guests. You should feel honored. Most prisoners never see anything except the inside of a cell before they die. I am not honored, Jinwoo replied. His voice was rough from lack of water. I am your prisoner. Yes, Velith agreed. But you are a prisoner that I find very interesting. That is why you are still alive. She leaned forward in her chair, her compound eyes studying him like he was a puzzle she wanted to solve. I have ruled this empire for 1,047 years, she said. In that time, I have conquered 83 worlds. I have killed millions of enemies with my own claws. I have seen warriors from every species in the galaxy fight and die. And in all that time, I have never seen anything like you. Jinwoo remained silent. You are human, Velith continued. Your species is weak. You have no claws, no armor, no venom. You cannot run as fast as a Korath. You cannot think as fast as a Velari. You live for less than 100 years. By every measure that matters, you are nothing. She stood up and walked toward him. Her footsteps echoed in the empty room. But you killed 3 of my royal guards. You stood between me and what I wanted. You looked me in the eyes and did not show fear. And then you threw away your life for a girl you had no biological connection to. She stopped in front of him, so close that he could smell her strange alien scent. Why? She asked. I do not understand why, and I hate not understanding. Jinwoo looked up at her. You would not understand even if I explained it. Try, Velith commanded. I have plenty of time. Jinwoo was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. I protected Princess Nara because she needed protection. Because she was kind to me when she did not have to be. Because she trusted me. Because I chose to. Velith's mandibles clicked together. Chose? Your species has no hive mind, no biological programming that forces you to protect your group. So why choose to die for someone else? It makes no sense. It makes perfect sense, Jinwoo replied. The choice is what makes it matter. Anyone can do something because they are forced to. Only free beings can sacrifice themselves because they want to. Velith stared at him for a long time. Then she turned and walked back to her chair. Interesting, she said. Very interesting. Over the next few days, Jinwoo learned that he was not in a prison cell. He was in a guest room. The chains were removed after the first day, replaced by guards who watched him at all times. He was given food and water and clean clothes. He was treated better than he expected, but he was still a prisoner. The door was always locked. The windows looked out over a city of black towers and red skies. But they did not open. Queen Velith visited him every day. Sometimes she stayed for minutes. Sometimes she stayed for hours. She asked him questions about humanity, about Earth, about human history and culture and art. Jinwoo answered some questions and refused to answer others. He did not know why she was so interested in his species, and he did not trust her. Your people have fought so many wars, Velith said one day, reading from a document her scientists had prepared. You have killed each other by the millions. You have weapons that could destroy your entire planet. And yet you also create beautiful things, music and paintings and stories. You build hospitals to save the sick. You form families and love each other deeply. She looked at him. How can one species be so violent and so gentle at the same time? We contain multitudes, Jinwoo said. What does that mean? It means we are complicated. We can be cruel and kind, selfish and generous, cowardly and brave, often all in the same day. That is what makes us human. Velith shook her head slowly. In my empire, everything is simple. The strong rule. The weak serve. The useless die. There is no confusion. No contradiction. It is efficient. It sounds lonely, Jinwoo said. Velith went very still. Her compound eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made him want to look away. But he did not. What did you say? She asked quietly. I said it sounds lonely, Jinwoo repeated. You have ruled for 1,000 years. How many friends do you have? How many people love you, because they want to, not because they fear you? Velith did not answer. She stood up and left the room without another word. She did not visit for 3 days after that. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, word had reached the Valari kingdom that Jinwoo was alive. Princess Nara stood before her father's council, demanding that they rescue him. He saved my life, she said. Her voice was strong now, stronger than it had been before the attack. He sacrificed everything for me. I will not abandon him. The Korath homeworld is too well defended, one advisor said. A rescue mission would be suicide. Then I will go alone, Nara replied. Taesung stepped forward. The old human soldier had survived the attack on the ship. He had escaped on a different shuttle and made his way back to Coalition space. You will not go alone, princess, he said. Jinwoo is one of my people. If there is any chance to save him, I will take it. Hana was there too, her legs still wrapped in bandages. I owe him my life 12 times over, she said. I am coming too. Princess Nara looked at them both with grateful eyes. Then we have a mission to plan. Back on Vex Prime, Velith finally returned to Jinwoo's room. She looked different somehow. Tired. Maybe. Or troubled. I have been thinking about what you said, she told him. About loneliness, about choice, about love. Jinwoo waited. I have never experienced these things, Velith continued. In my culture, they are weaknesses. A queen who loves is a queen who can be controlled. A ruler who has friends is a ruler who can be betrayed. That sounds like a terrible way to live, Jinwoo said. It is the only way I know. She sat down in her chair and looked at him with eyes that seemed almost sad. I have found Earth, she said. Your species' homeworld. 8 billion humans live there. I could destroy it with a single order. Jinwoo's blood went cold. Why are you telling me this? Because I want to make you an offer, Velith replied. Serve me willingly. Teach me about humanity. Help me understand these things you speak of. Choice, and sacrifice, and love. In return, I will spare Earth. I will never harm your people. Jinwoo stared at her. You want me to serve you forever to save people I have never met? Yes. People I have no connection to? Yes. Jinwoo almost laughed. She was offering him the exact kind of choice he had been explaining to her. A sacrifice for strangers. A decision made freely, not from force, but from love for beings he would never know. How long do I have to decide? He asked. I am patient, Velith said. Take all the time you need. She left him alone with the weight of 8 billion lives on his shoulders. Jinwoo stood at the window of his room and watched the sun set over Vex Prime. The sky turned from red to purple to black, and the stars came out one by one. Somewhere out there, impossibly far away, was a small blue planet called Earth. He had never been to Earth. He was born on a colony world that the Korath destroyed when he was 5 years old. He remembered very little from before the attack. Fire. Screaming. His mother pushing him into a hiding place and telling him to stay quiet no matter what. She never came back for him. A Valari rescue ship found him 3 days later, the only survivor of a human colony of 10,000 people. They raised him, educated him, taught him to fight. But they never let him forget that he was different. Human. Weak. A curiosity at best. A burden at worst. Earth was a planet full of strangers. 8 billion people who had never heard his name and would never know he existed. Why should he sacrifice his freedom to save them? But he knew the answer already. He had known it since he was 5 years old, hiding in the dark while his mother died for him, because that was what humans did. They died for each other. They died for people they loved and people they had never met. It did not make logical sense. It did not help them survive. But it was what made them human. Queen Velith visited him again the next morning. She had been visiting more often lately, sometimes just to talk, sometimes to sit in silence. Jinwoo was starting to understand her better. She was ancient and powerful, but she was also alone. She had killed everyone who might have been close to her on her path to the throne. She had no friends, no family, no one who loved her. She ruled an empire of billions, but she had no one to share her thoughts with. Until now. Have you made your decision? She asked. Not yet, Jinwoo replied. I have questions first. Velith tilted her head. Ask. Why do you want me to serve you willingly? You could force me. You could put something in my head that makes me obey. Why does my choice matter? Why does my choice matter? Velith was quiet for a moment. Because that is what you taught me, she said finally. You said the choice is what makes sacrifice meaningful. If I force you, then you are just another slave. But if you choose to serve me, then you are something more. What am I then? I do not know yet. That is why I want you to choose. Jinwoo nodded slowly. Tell me about yourself. Not the queen, not the conqueror. Tell me about the person behind all of that. Velith made a strange sound that might have been surprise. No one had ever asked her such a thing before. I was not born a queen, she said. I was born the 7th daughter of a minor noble house. In Korath society, that meant I was nothing. Worthless. I would have been married off to some weak male or given to the army as a common soldier. What changed? I refused to accept my fate. Velith's voice grew harder. I trained in secret. I fought my way up through the ranks. I challenged the queen at the time and killed her in single combat. Then I killed everyone who might challenge me afterward. Sisters, rivals, friends. She paused. I did have friends once. I killed them all. Why? Because that is how power works in my empire. Trust no one. Love no one. Care for no one. These are the rules that kept me alive for 1,000 years. Jinwoo looked at her with something that was almost pity. That sounds like a prison. It is, Velith admitted. But it is the only prison I know how to live in. They talked for hours after that. Velith told him about her long life, her countless battles, her moments of victory and the rare moments of doubt. Jinwoo told her about his childhood, his training, his friendship with Hana and his loyalty to Princess Nara. For the first time, they spoke not as prisoner and captor, but as two beings trying to understand each other. Far away, a small ship was entering Korath space. Taesung piloted the vessel, while Hana checked their weapons and equipment. Princess Nara sat in the back, her eyes closed, her mind reaching out to sense any danger ahead. The Korath defense systems are too strong, Taesung said. We cannot fight our way through. We need another plan. I have one, Nara said. She opened her eyes, and they were glowing with soft blue light. I will surrender myself to Queen Velith. Aw. What? Hana spun around to face her. That is insane. She will kill you or use you as a hostage. She will use me as bait, Nara corrected. She wants me, not you. If I offer myself in exchange for Jinwoo, she might agree. And then what? Taesung demanded. We rescue Jinwoo but lose you? He would never accept that trade. I know, Nara said quietly. But I have to try. He sacrificed himself for me. I owe him everything. Cood. Before they could argue more, alarms started blaring. Korath ships had detected them. They were surrounded in seconds. Do not resist, Nara ordered. Let them take us. Taesung's hands tightened on the controls, but he did as she said. The Korath ships locked onto their vessel and dragged them toward Vex Prime. Hours later, Jinwoo was summoned to the throne room. He walked between two guards, his heart beating fast. Something had changed. He could feel it. The throne room was massive, built for a queen who wanted her subjects to feel small. Pillars of black stone rose toward a ceiling lost in shadows. Thousands of Korath warriors stood in perfect rows, watching silently. And at the far end of the room, Queen Velith sat on her throne. But she was not alone. Kneeling before her, surrounded by guards, were three figures that made Jinwoo's heart stop. Princess Nara, Taesung, Hana. They had come for him. They had come into the heart of the enemy empire to save him, and now they were captured. Jinwoo, Nara called out when she saw him. Her face was pale but determined. I am sorry. We tried. We tried. Velith raised one clawed hand, and the room went silent. Your friends came to rescue you, she said to Jinwoo. Foolish, but impressive. They made it further into my space than any enemy in 500 years. Let them go, Jinwoo said. His voice was steady even though his insides were shaking. They have nothing you want, but they do, Velith replied. They have value to you. And now I have a new offer. She stood up from her throne and walked down the steps toward them. Every eye in the room watched her move. Join me willingly, she said to Jinwoo. Teach me about humanity. Serve as my advisor and companion. In return, I will release your friends and spare Earth. Everyone lives. And if I refuse, Velith's mandibles clicked. Then, I kill your friends now and destroy Earth tomorrow. 8 billion deaths because of your stubbornness. Nara struggled against her guards. Do not do it, Jinwoo. Do not sacrifice yourself for us again. Taesung shook his head. Think about this. There has to be another way. Hana said nothing. She just watched Jinwoo's face. She had known him since they were children. She knew what he was going to do before he did it. Jinwoo looked at his friends. The people who had risked everything to save him. Then he looked at Velith, the ancient queen who had conquered half the galaxy but could not understand why someone would die for a stranger. He walked forward slowly until he stood directly in front of her throne. Then he knelt. I accept, he said. Nara screamed. Taesung shouted. But Jinwoo did not look at them. He kept his eyes on Velith. Release them, he said. Keep your word. Velith looked down at him with eyes that seemed almost surprised. like she had not expected him to actually do it. "I will," she said. "I keep my promises. Your friends will be released. Earth will be spared. And you will belong to me forever." "Oaf. Oaf." Jinwoo bowed his head. "Then I am yours." The throne room was silent. Thousands of Korath warriors had just witnessed something they could not understand. A human giving up his freedom for people he barely knew. It went against everything they believed in. But Queen Velith understood something she had never understood before. This is what makes humans dangerous, she thought. Not their strength or their weapons or their numbers, but this willingness to sacrifice everything for others. For the first time in 1,000 years, she felt something like fear. The ceremony was set for the next day. Jinwoo would be bound to Queen Velith through an ancient Korath ritual that connected servant to master through a neural link. He would feel what she wanted. He would know her commands before she spoke them. He would belong to her completely. The entire Korath High Command was invited to watch. Generals, admirals, nobles from 100 conquered worlds. They filled the great hall of the palace. Thousands of powerful beings who had come to see something unprecedented. A human, becoming the personal servant of their queen. Jinwoo's friends were there too, held in special cells that had been designed to let prisoners watch the ceremony through screens on the walls. Velith wanted them to see. She wanted them to understand that she had won. Nara sat in her cell with tears running down her face. She had tried so hard to save Jinwoo, and now she was going to watch him become a slave forever. It was worse than death. "This is my fault," she whispered. "If I had been stronger, if I had not needed protection, none of this would have happened." Hana sat next to her. The human medic had been quiet since their capture, watching and thinking. Now she spoke. "It is not your fault," she said. "Jinwoo made his own choice. He always has. That is who he is. But how can he just give up? How can he accept slavery?" Hana looked at the screen, where Jinwoo was being led into the great hall. Her old friend walked with his head high and his back straight. He did not look like a man about to lose his freedom. "I do not think he has given up," Hana said slowly. "I have known Jinwoo for 20 years. He never gives up. He is planning something." In the great hall, Jinwoo walked between rows of Korath warriors toward the raised platform where Velith waited. She was dressed in ceremonial armor, black and gold and red. Beautiful, in a terrifying way. On her head was a crown made from the bones of her enemies. The ritual required Jinwoo to kneel before her while she placed her claws on his head. The neural link would form instantly, binding them together forever. Jinwoo climbed the steps to the platform. The crowd was silent. Even the air seemed to be holding its breath. Velith looked at him with her compound eyes. For just a moment, Jinwoo thought he saw something there. Doubt. Maybe. Or hope. "You still have a choice," she said quietly, so only he could hear. "You can still refuse. I will not think less of you." Quote, "Would you kill my friends if I refused?" "Yes." "Would you destroy Earth?" "Yes." Jinwoo nodded. "Then I do not have a choice. And I think you know that." He started to kneel, but then he stopped. He looked at Velith with eyes that had seen so much death and pain, but had never lost their warmth. "Before you bind me," he said, "I want to give you something." Velith's mandibles clicked with confusion. "Give me something? What could you possibly give me that I cannot take?" Jinwoo reached into his shirt and pulled out a small, worn photograph. It was creased and faded, but you could still see two faces smiling at the camera. A man and a woman, holding a baby boy. "This is the only picture I have of my parents," Jinwoo said. "They died saving me from the Korath attack on my colony. I have carried it with me every day since I was 5 years old." Velith stared at the photograph. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because I want you to have it," the crowd murmured. This was unexpected. Strange. Wrong. Somehow. Velith took the photograph carefully, as if it might break. "I do not understand." This is precious to you. Why give it to me? Because you asked me about sacrifice, Jinwoo said. About why humans die for each other. About why we choose to love people who might hurt us, or leave us, or betray us. He stepped closer to her, so close that the guards tensed and reached for their weapons. But Velith waved them back. My parents did not know me, Jinwoo continued. I was just a baby. I had never spoken a word to them. Never told them I loved them. Never done anything to deserve their sacrifice, but they died anyway. They died so I could live, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Velith looked at the photograph again. The two smiling humans. So fragile. So temporary. Dead now for more than 20 years. This is love, Jinwoo said. Not ownership, not control, not power. Just choosing to care about someone more than yourself. You asked me to teach you about humanity. This is the lesson. This is everything. The great hall was completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Jinwoo reached out and took Velith's hand. Not her claw. Her hand. He held it gently, like she was something fragile instead of the most powerful being in the galaxy. You have conquered so much, he said. But you have never had this. You have never had someone choose you. You have never had someone care about you just because they wanted to. That is why you are lonely. That is why you are empty. Velith's hand trembled in his grip. Something was happening to her that had not happened in 1,000 years. She was feeling. You do not have to conquer me to understand humans, Jinwoo said. You could just ask. You could choose something different. You could be something different. I am the queen of the Korath Empire, Velith said. Her voice was shaking. I have killed millions. I have destroyed worlds. I cannot just become something else. Why not? The question hung in the air. Simple. Impossible. The Korath High Command was growing restless. This was not how the ceremony was supposed to go. Their queen was supposed to dominate, to conquer, to show her power. Instead, she was holding hands with a human and talking about feelings. One of the generals stepped forward. My queen, this is inappropriate. Complete the ritual or step aside and let someone stronger take the throne. Velith turned her head slowly to look at him. Her eyes were different now, clearer, somehow, more alive. Are you threatening me? She asked. I am stating fact. The strong rule. The weak serve. That is our way. If you have forgotten that, then you are not fit to lead us. More generals stepped forward. Nobles moved to join them. In moments, half the crowd was standing against their queen. Jinwoo felt Velith's hand tighten around his. He expected her to fight, to kill, to do what she had always done. But instead, she looked at the photograph in her other hand, the two smiling humans who had died for love. Then she looked at Jinwoo. Is this what you meant? She asked quietly. Choosing something different? It is a start, he replied. Velith straightened to her full height. She was still the queen, still the conqueror, still the nightmare that children whispered about in the dark. But something in her had changed. I am releasing the prisoners, she announced. The human. The Valari princess. All of them. They are free to go. The crowd exploded in outrage. Generals shouted. Nobles demanded her removal. Guards looked at each other in confusion, unsure whose orders to follow. I am also ending our plans to invade Earth, Velith continued. Humanity is no longer our enemy. I am also ending our plans to invade Earth. Velith continued. Splacigendity say. I am also ending our plans to invade Earth. You cannot do this, the general screamed. This is treason, against everything we stand for. Velith looked at him calmly. Then challenge me. Right now. If you think you are strong enough to take my throne, try. The general hesitated. His hand moved toward his weapon, then stopped. Even with half the army behind him, he was not strong enough to defeat Velith. No one was. Slowly, the opposition backed down. They hated this decision, but they feared their queen more. Velith turned back to Jinwoo. You asked me what you could give me that I could not take. Now I understand. You gave me something no one has ever given me before. What is that? A choice. Hours later, Jinwoo walked out of the palace with his friends beside him. Princess Nara held his arm like she was afraid he would disappear. Taesung kept looking back at the palace, unable to believe they were actually leaving. Hana walked in silence, a small smile on her face. At the gates, Queen Velith was waiting for them. I have kept my word, she said. Your ship is ready. You may go wherever you wish. Jinwoo bowed his head. Thank you. Will you return? Velith asked. The question sounded almost vulnerable, which was strange coming from a 1,000-year-old conqueror. Do you want me to? Velith was quiet for a moment. Then she held up the photograph he had given her. You gave me this. The only memory you had of your parents. Why? Because I wanted you to have something to remember them by, Jinwoo said. Something to remind you that love exists. Even in a galaxy full of war and death and cruelty, love exists. And it is worth fighting for. Velith looked at the photograph again. Then she looked at Jinwoo. I think I understand now, she said. What makes humans special? It is not your strength or your intelligence or your technology. It is your hearts. You have hearts big enough to love strangers, to die for people you have never met, to forgive enemies who have done terrible things. She paused. I do not know if I can ever have a heart like that. But for the first time in 1,000 years, I want to try. Jinwoo smiled. That is all anyone can do. He turned and walked toward his ship. His friends followed him. But at the last moment, he stopped and looked back. Velith stood alone at the gates of her palace, the photograph clutched in her clawed hand. For 1,000 years, she had been the most feared being in the galaxy. Now, she looked almost small, almost lonely, almost human. I will come back, Jinwoo promised. Someday. Velith nodded. I will be waiting. The ship lifted off and rose into the red sky. Jinwoo watched the planet grow smaller and smaller until it was just another point of light among the stars. Do you really think she will change? Nara asked him. Jinwoo thought about it. He thought about the photograph of his parents, now in the hands of an alien queen who had destroyed more lives than he could count. He thought about the look in her eyes when she realized what she had been missing. I think she is tired of being a monster, he said. Sometimes that is enough. Behind them, Vex Prime disappeared into the darkness of space. But on the planet's surface, Queen Velith stood on her balcony and watched the stars. In her hand, she held a photograph of two humans she had never known. Two people who had died for love. Two people who had raised a boy who had changed everything. She did not understand why the photograph made her feel something warm in her chest, but she did not throw it away. She kept it close, and for the first time in 1,000 years, she did not feel alone.